wide receiver Brandon Aiyuk. It looks like his trade market looks like negotiations maybe picking up a lot more than what we thought. And the main teams that we're hearing about right now are the Browns, the Steelers, and the Patriots. Are seem to all be interested. We're not sure if there are any other teams that may or may not be interested. We'll see what happens. First and foremost, I want to know, do you think he will actually get traded, or is this to see what his market value will be? Because I know that's a big thing as well. Teams will say, hey, go ahead and negotiate your own contracts or negotiate whatever. Go talk to teams, mainly this, so that player can see what their actual market value is, and then maybe possibly can come back. Or do you say, you know what, he's going to go to maybe one of these teams, if not another team? K-Walk, this is your team. This is, I think, your guy. I don't know how
Oh,
you
yeah,
feel
definitely my
about him.
guy. His jersey's up there. His jersey's up there. He's my guy. He's my guy.
Uh,
Yeah,
I didn't want to make any assumptions,
yeah, his jersey's up there. He's my guy. Purdy there,
But
Purdy there too.
do you think he'll actually get traded, or is this another tactic for this team to see what your market value is? What's your thoughts?
Britt, that's a great question because I asked myself that question as well. I think right now it's a matter of the 49ers are trying to see if Brandon Aiyuk is bluffing, because Brandon
Mm-hmm.
Aiyuk has come out and said that, listen, I want to be paid this amount of money. 49ers was dead set on one price. So the 49ers are not budging from that. So now he's come out and said, meaning Ayuk's come out and said, I want this trade, demanding a trade. So now the 49ers have put themselves in a great situation. Like, listen, all right, well, we got three teams out here. Right before we came on air, the Pats have come out and said that they're ready to throw the money at him, throw the bag at him, if you will. And they said they're willing to pay him top five receiver money per year money.
Mm-hmm.
Per year money, not necessarily guaranteed or anything like that, but per year money, they said top five. So right now, Brandon Aiyuk, if it's about the money, has to say, okay, well, I want it. I want this money. Yeah, I deserve this money. This is what it's about. 49ers are saying, listen, okay, at the same time, well, we got to get compensated as well. We're not just
Right.
throwing you out there. So it has to be a deal that makes sense to us as well. So that's why you see the Pats there and you see the Browns there as well. Initially, it was reported that the Steelers were out of it because they didn't like the asking price that the 49ers were, laid on the table. But they're back in the mix of things. So right now, to answer the question, I say all that to say this: I think that Brandon Aiyuk, if he really is wants to be a 49er, he's come out and said, my family's here, I'm here, I love it here. But at the same time, he wants to get paid. So what is more important to him? Is it where you're located at, or is it where your money is at right now? So with that being said, my gut feeling tells me he's gone. Because they had an interview today with Christian McCaffrey, and Christian McCaffrey actually slipped up and called him his former teammate. So, his former teammate, he quickly cleaned it up. He quickly cleaned it up. But the first, the first thing it said before he called him a former teammate. So I think he's out of there. I think that it's just a matter of where he's going to go. And I just hope that if he's going to go, let's do this now, bro, so we can get whoever we bring in here, in the mix right now. Because right now, Ricky Pearsall went out with a shoulder injury right now. So we need whoever's going to be in here, whether it be Brandon Aiyuk, Amari Cooper, Kendrick Bourne, whoever's going to be there in here. We need him in there now so we can get that camaraderie built between him and Purdy immediately. But my gut is telling me that he's going to be going. It's just a matter of when and where.
I have another question, but I'm gonna hold off on that. Jay, what are your thoughts on this? Do you agree with everything that K Walk is saying, or do you think it's just to see what his market value is?
Yeah, look, I yield to K-Walk on all 49er matters, but like my initial thought before K-Walk went was I was going to say I think he's out of there as well, because I just feel like this has been going on for quite some time. I mean, we talked about this on this show on a few different occasions. So this has spanned several months. And I just feel like if both sides really wanted to get something figured out, I think they could have figured it out by now.
Yeah.
So I
Right.
don't know if Ayuk's asking price is just too much, or the 49ers aren't willing to give him what he's actually worth. But whatever it is, it just seems like they can't figure it out. So I agree with K-Walk. I think if one of these other teams comes to the table with an offer that both parties feel pretty good about, I think he's out of there. I think we'll see something in pretty soon that has Ayuk out of there, and the 49ers are going to move on.
And what the strangest part about this
But
whole situation is John Lynch and Brandon Aiyuk have the same agent. So I don't understand how this is not working.
Yeah.
It's just bad. It's a mind-boggling thing to me. I don't understand
mhm.
how it's not working. So it just gets that
Yeah.
part right there misses me. I don't know how you can explain that to me or what's
Yeah.
going on there. But go ahead, Brett. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I wasn't sure neither. I thought it was just to see what his market value is. I know this is the thing that the Eagles tend to do a lot. Allow the players to go out to the market to see what they're worth and then come back. And they'll even tell the player, hey, just make sure you give us an opportunity to match that market value or whatnot, or get somewhere close to it. And for the Eagles, a lot of times it works sometimes it doesn't. But it just feel like this is a done deal. It feels like for some reason they just feel now it's still time. They both sides may change their mind. The 49ers may say, you know what? This is our window. We need you. We like your production that you have done with us so far. And Ayuk may come back and say, you know what? Like you said, K Walk, this is my home. I love it here. And this might be the only opportunity in my career where I could compete for a Super Bowl. You go to a Patriots, you may have to wait a while. You go to a Browns, you may have to wait a while. Because I don't know what Deshaun Watson is going to look like from year to year. We're just not sure. Um, if they let go of Amari Cooper, then you're kind of in the same position that you were when you had Amari Cooper. Who else? Who else do you have over there? I don't know yet. Same thing with the Steelers situation. They in a little bit better situation, in my opinion, primarily because of the head coach and some of the younger players. They're a lot younger, but are they going to compete for a Super Bowl? We know they're pretty much a certified playoff team, but they're not quite in a position that the 49ers are in right now. So again, it's still time to work things out and for him to stay. It just feel like he's a goner. It just feels that way.
Yeah.
And so at first I was just like, nah, he's going to stay. This is a whole Debo situation that happened a few years ago. The same exact thing happened. Debo requested a trade. The only difference was I think the 49ers didn't allow him to go talk
Yeah.
to other
Right.
teams, I believe. I don't think they did that. They said, no, let's figure this out. But this one they said, you know what? Go ahead and see what your market value is. Let's see if we can work something out. If not, we're going to go ahead and trade you. But also, a lot of these teams are meeting the 49ers demands, apparently. It's just coming down to Ayuk's
Brandon Aiyuk.
demands
Yeah.
and
Exactly.
his contract demands. So that tends to be where it's not necessarily matching. But Ayuk does have a lot more control than what people think, because yes, he has no trade clause, but he could dictate kind of where he wants to go if things aren't going well with the 49ers, because he could just say, I'm not signing that deal with you. And he only got 1 year left on his contract. So he could get traded, but then not play after next year. And then that team kind of just lost out. So yes, I'm with you guys. I think he will get traded. I don't want him to get traded. If I'm a 49ers fan, I won't want him to get traded, but it does feel like he will get traded. My other question is, because now we do think he will ultimately get traded in the end. And again, this may change, it may not, guys. Um, what team do you know what, K Walk? I'm gonna come to you first because this is your team. What team would you prefer for him to get traded to?
The Cleveland Browns. The only reason why I
So
said the
so
Cleveland Browns. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, okay, let me correct that question. So, yeah, you answered the one for the 49ers standpoint, and then if you're Ayuk for his standpoint. So it's kind of a two-part question for that.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, if it comes down to the Browns and the Patriots, I guess you want to throw the Steelers in there as well. If you're trying to get back, I don't know what I know what's in place for the Pats and the Browns from a receiver standpoint, as far as what they'll get back for Ayuk. The Steelers, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be Pickens. I don't or Pickett. I don't think it'll be him. I
No.
don't think the Steelers would want to come off of that. I think they want to pair those two together, and then rightfully so.
Hmm.
But just knowing what's on the table as far as what the Steelers are going, or what the Browns are going to give back to the 49ers, I say the Browns because Amari Cooper, he's still, I mean, even though he seems like he's been in the league forever, he just turned 30 in June,
Yeah.
and he's still he's still a great route runner. He can separate just like Brandon Ayuk. He can stretch the field just like Brandon Ayuk. The other thing is, I know he's been hurt a lot lately, but I don't think
Hmm.
he has to he has to load that management, if you will, from a standpoint where we don't have to use him as much as the Browns have used him, and put him in certain situations. Now, he comparingly, like route running and hands and things of that nature, they're comparable. Now I think what things you have to ask yourself is, this receiver, do he have the intangibles that Brandon Ayuk has? Like, I'm talking about, going downfield and blocking. That's one thing
Hmm.
that I think I'll put Brandon Ayuk in front of any receiver, top, Devontae Adams included. Is like, he's willing to block after the catch. He's willing to block for other guys, for things of that nature. So, but receiver to receiver, route running and quality, I want the Browns to be that team, because Amari Cooper is that guy that we'll get in return. So yeah, definitely that.
Okay. And then you said if you're IU, you would want to go to the Steelers.
If you go to Steelers, man, because that's the best
Right.
opportunity to win. I mean, you got Justin Fields over there, who, in my opinion, I don't know if we're going to touch on that. I forget. But I will. I think that he'll be the quarterback
Mhm.
there. And you got Mike Tomlin, and in my opinion, I think they're America's team. They got a great organization there. A lot of people said that. I'm sorry, Jay. I'm sorry, but a lot of people made fun of, like, him and Mike Tomlin. They look alike and all that stuff.
Right.
So there's some good stuff going on there. So I think that'd be the best fit for him, for Ayuk. But and being selfish 49er fan that I am, I would love for him to go to the Browns and get Amari Cooper in return.
That does make sense. I think Amari Cooper will fit in well. Like you said, okay, well, my only concern is injury. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
it
why I
feels
say
like
yeah,
Amari.
yeah.
It feels like Amari Cooper is about 50. I'm not gonna lie to you
That's
guys.
what
It
I
feels like
said.
he's
That's what I
Yeah,
so
said, bro.
old.
That's
yeah.
what I
It
thought.
makes no
Yeah,
sense. I don't
but
know what age he came into the league. He just feels
yeah,
like he's about 50 years old already.
Yeah.
But that would be my biggest concern is injury with Amari Cooper.
yeah.
But Jay, I'm not going to ask you what team do you think the 49ers should make the trade with. I want because I asked K Walk that because he's a 49ers fan. But from your standpoint, if you're Brandon Ayuk, what team would you want to go to out of those three teams that we mentioned?
Yeah, I agree with K Walk. Out of those three, I'd like to go to Pittsburgh as well. I think you
Hmm.
got the most stable organization. Like you said, Britt, they're pretty much guaranteed a playoff spot. Um, Two quarterbacks, whichever one ends up being the starter, you're going to have a competent quarterback play no matter which one of those guys it is. And if you're paired with Pickens, that's a really nice 1-2 or
Yeah.
2-1, however you want to look at it. So
Hmm.
it feels like everything in Pittsburgh sets up nicely for Ayuk. The only thing is, Pittsburgh isn't necessarily known as an organization that likes to just be
Right.
loose with their money. So, is he going to be able to get everything he wants in Pittsburgh? That might be the only roadblock there because they're not really known for really rolling out the Brinks truck for guys. So,
Yeah.
that could be an issue. But in terms of football, I think that's probably the best situation.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I'm with Pittsburgh all the way. Whether you got Russ or Justin Fields there, I think there will be a great pairing. Like you guys said, George Pickens, and you still have Najee Harris in the backfield. I think they have another running back over there. Can't think of his name right there. And
Yeah.
then we all know what they're going to do on the defensive side of the
Yeah.
football. They do get injured sometimes, but they made some additional improvements on that defensive side of the ball. They went out and got the linebacker. Can't think. Patrick Queen is now
Green.
with
Yeah.
Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh. They still got T.J. Watt. As long as he stays healthy, that defense
Michael
is
Fitzpatrick. Yeah.
Michael Fitzpatrick. Yep, is in the backfield, the safety. So they have some very good pieces. To me, they really just need to stay healthy, and they need an additional receiver on that offensive side. So he might just be that missing link. And of course, the quarterback. We got to figure out the quarterback situation, which is the most important out of all. But then you have a reliable head coach, a very, very good head coach, and Mike Tomlin. I don't care what anybody says. I think he's still one of the best head coaches in the NFL football
Oh,
and the
absolutely.
National Football League.
Absolutely.
Um, So I think Pittsburgh should be the direction that Brandon Ayuk should want to choose if these are his only three options. And it's the, like you said, K Walk, the next best opportunity to potentially go to the playoffs and maybe eventually contend. I don't see them contending this year, but maybe hopefully within the next few years it's a possibility. And he's still fairly young.
Yeah.
Let me just head into the comments with some of the comments that we got. Mikey Brass. Apologies, Mikey Brass. He's going to the Commanders or the Lions.
He did.
Um,
Yeah.
I mean, I know he would say he wanted to go to the Commanders because Jaden Daniels, that's his
Yeah.
guy. I don't know if it's going to happen. I think they have the money. I do believe they have the draft capital. I don't know if there's anything in return that the 49ers would potentially want from the Commanders as far as a player that's ready to come in and contribute right away. It could be a possibility, or maybe they just want the draft capital.
Yeah.
I just don't know if that'll get it done. Any thoughts on these two teams?
Yeah, what the thing about it is, like you mentioned, Britt, the 49ers, what they're looking in return is they're looking for a veteran receiver to replace him, to be
Mhm.
not replace him, but put him in the mix that while these young receivers that they just drafted this past offseason, are ready to go. So I don't see who the Commanders or the Lions would have that they're willing to come off of it, unless they're coming off of two number twos, two second round picks, excuse me. So just looking at these teams, I don't see what they would offer. With the Commanders, if the 49ers are willing to take another a high draft pick, they could be in the mix. But they are looking for a veteran
Right.
receiver in return.
One
Yeah,
of the
and then
things about, oh, sorry, go ahead, Britt.
now I was gonna say, and we know they're not letting go Terry McLaurin. So
Yeah, he's young. No, absolutely not.
right.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
but Jay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, like the Commanders, number one, I think we all agree they might be a little bit better than everybody kind of thinks they
hmm
are. But
I
they
agree.
do have Jahan Dotson now. K Walk, like he's not an established vet,
Yeah,
but he's a Penn State guy. I've watched a ton of him. He's a really, really talented receiver. So
hmm
Hmm.
if the 49ers were willing to take a younger guy who's only been in the league 2 or 3 years, he is injured a little bit early, but I'm telling you, Jahan Dotson is a really good receiver. He's not a Brandon Aiyuk right now. Could
Yeah,
he turn into that 2, 3 years down the road? Maybe. So if they were going to do a deal with the Commanders, maybe Jahan Dotson could be on the table. I don't know.
yeah,
But I don't know. I was just kind of reading something that said the Commanders are probably out of it at this point, but
yeah.
we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and I just don't think the Lions is going to want to do a deal with the 49ers right now. They're kind of like toe and toe. I
Yeah,
don't know if they
yeah,
want to, and unless you're going to give up on who Jameson William, what's his name, Jameson Williams,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
yeah. No, we don't want that. We
that
don't want that.
yeah, and
We don't
then
want
who's the other guy, the main guy,
St. Brown.
Rob,
I'm on
St.
and
St.
that's
Brown.
St.
not,
Brown. Yeah.
and
Yeah,
we
they're
know for
not.
sure that's
Yeah.
not going to happen.
They
So
just
I don't
paid
think
him.
the
They just
Lions.
paid him, so that's not going to happen.
Exactly. So the Lions are not going to be a part of this deal whatsoever.
I'm curious to know why you thought the Lions though. Man, that's
I,
sports. What's good?
Man
What's
down.
good,
What's
man? That's
up?
one.
Mikey, let us know why you thought the
Yeah,
Lions. If I don't know how much it is to type, but we appreciate it. Just let us know, and I'll
yeah.
read the comment. What's going on, Mel from Man Down Sports? He did have a question. He said, "Brittany, I think the 49ers like T.O.'s son, which I think is it
He's
Tariq
balling.
Yeah.
Williams."
Yes.
Yeah, he's good call there, man. We do have a lot of receivers that are coming up. I mean, they're right now in the mix, so that's a great point there. He's tearing up. He's tearing up the. From what I'm seeing, he's his route running. He runs exactly like T.O. Right,
Exactly.
exactly like T.O.
Exactly. Moves
Yes,
exactly like T.O.,
everything,
man.
everything. So, yeah, so he's doing a great job there, along with some of these other receivers that they brought in the mix as well. So great there, a great point there, Mel, without question. But like I said, they want a veteran receiver there to fill that spot in for Brandon Ayuk while these young receivers are developing.
And my last question pertaining is before we move on. I kind of feel like I don't know, a lot of fans, and we tend to do this as fans, right? When a player wants to get traded, like we kind of feel some type of way at times. And you're like, just get in my home. We don't need you anything. Anyway, are we downplaying um the fan base? Are we downplaying the impact that Brandon Ayuk has on this
Heck
team?
no,
Are we kind of
heck no.
underrating his impact on the team? Jay, K Walk, anybody can take this.
I mean, I'm not downplaying. I'm just looking at it from a business standpoint, and I understand why we're talking about this. By no stretch of the imagination, are we talking about Brandon Aiyuk is not valuable to this team? We've seen what he did in throughout the season. We've seen what he did in the playoff run against the Lions, and the way they came back, and those big catches that he made, in the crucial point of the game. So no, we're not downplaying this by any stretch. Well, I'm not downplaying it by any stretch of the imagination. I want, don't get it, no mistake. Please make no mistake. I want Brandon Aiyuk. I want big 1-1. I want that big 1-1 on for a long, long time, man. I love that dude, man. But I understand that how the business works. If you can't meet in the middle, then you have to make the moves that you have to make the moves for the best for your family and Brandon Ayuk's situation, and the best for the organization and 49ers situation. So we understand sometimes it doesn't always work. But yeah, I love the dude. I want him back. So Brandon Aiyuk, brother, please make it work. Make it work, please.
So
I, you know,
Jay,
I
before
go
you
ahead.
answer the question, the reason why I asked this question is because when Debo went through the same thing, you've seen a lot of the fans, not UK Walk, I'm just
I know. I
talking in
got you.
general.
I
We've seen
got
a
you.
lot of fan base saying, "Hey, we don't need you. We're better off without you." And they're kind of doing the
The
similar
same
thing with
thing
IU.
exactly.
It
Yeah.
feels like they're doing the same thing with IU. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what fans do, as you kind of started
Hmm.
this off saying, Britt. I mean, it doesn't surprise me at all that fans are saying that, because if fans sense, or at least in their mind perceive that a player is being disloyal, that's where they're going. We don't need you. We
Right,
don't want you.
right.
But I think people that understand football probably have a different perspective on it. Like, great players, they just don't fall out of trees. So when
No.
you got one, you got to try to hold on to it as best you can. The only thing I'll say, because I agree with everything K Walk said about keeping IU, they understand how important he is. The only thing I'll say, and I've said this before, is I do believe that Kyle Shanahan is the type of coach and coordinator that believes that his system is the reason for a lot of the success.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
that if they lose Ayuk, I know deep in his heart he feels like I can plug somebody else in there and
Hmm.
I'll scheme it up and we'll be okay. I do think he believes that. That being said, I think he still would like to have Ayuk rather than not have him. But
Hmm.
it's coach's ego that they just think, well, if he leaves, we'll still be okay. And I think Kyle Shanahan probably believes that.
Well, I got a hot take, guys, for you guys. So Tony said, my hot take, Ayuk is better than Debo. Do you guys
Ooh.
agree or disagree?
As a receiver, absolutely. As a football
Hmm.
player, absolutely not. So there's a difference there. So if you're talking about Brandon Ayuk being a better receiver, 100% agree. Being a better football player, 100% disagree.
And I
Okay.
would just add on to that I think Debo is more valuable to the
Value. And with that
49ers.
being said, yes,
What
for the
Right.
he
49ers.
brings to the 49ers, I think, is more important
Yes.
than what Ayuk does. We've seen it in real time. When Debo doesn't play, the 49ers have a hard time winning football games. So I
Great point,
think
Jay.
the value of Debo is more important than Ayuk.
What Jay said.
And last question, and then we're going to move on because I got to get to the next topic. Well, I guess Tony may ask this last question for me. You said, "Do you all need a football player or a receiver to win a chip?" K Walk.
To be honest with you, brother, we need both. But if you're putting me in a situation where I have to pick either or, in this system, football player. Definitely a football player because, like Jay alluded to, and we've seen it. Look at those last three games, or those three games that the 49ers lost in a row. With the Browns, the Vikings, and the Bengals. Debo wasn't there. Brandon Ayuk was there, and I mean they still had a chance to win those games, maybe with the exception of the Bengals, but they still had a chance to win those games late. But it would have made it a lot easier had Debo been there. So for our system, a football player is more valuable to win a chip than a receiver is.
And last comment, he said, "Y'all lost two Super Bowls with the football player."
Yeah, we did. And we also, yeah, you're absolutely right. And we had two
Ayuk was
different
there too,
receivers.
though.
Yeah,
It wasn't
yeah,
like
Ayuk was there
I
too.
mean,
Ayuk was there too. So like,
yeah.
I don't understand what that. Yeah, yeah. So no, you're absolutely right. Joe. We had different quarterbacks, but yeah, we were still there too.
Yeah, it definitely was different quarterbacks.
Yeah.
But all right, guys, we're gonna have to move on now. But no, I really had to get this 49ers taken. I know it wasn't a part of our topic list, but
Appreciate it, guys.
it's
Appreciate it.
something that is really building up. Yes, we appreciate the questions, the comments. Hopefully, we soon get some phone calls on this thing. But we're going to gradually start getting to that, sooner rather than later. But yeah, this 49ers, Brandon Aiyuk, hopefully we'll hear something soon. And as soon as we hear it, hopefully we're able to jump on or be able to talk about it during the next show, because I know it's exciting and it has everybody trying to, sitting in their seats holding on, especially, unfortunately, 49ers fans, because that is y'all team.